Hi everybody, welcome to Jenkins Boat Works. I am Chuck Jenkins. In this video, we continue working on our Yukon racing kayak. This I think is going to be episode 20. And we continue work on our hatches. This whole part of this building the hatches, has turned out to be way more difficult than I would have originally imagined. And even the flat back hatch has had its own challenges. So anyway, we're glad you're here. We will concentrate this time on putting the inner structure in. You have to have a lip in there, and you have to be able to fit that in there so that when you put the hatch cover on, it sits down in there flush with the deck. And you have to account for weather stripping and some other things. You want a tight fit. So we're going to delve into how we got that accomplished, and I actually think we may have a third part to hatches because I just got a ton of video. So anyway, glad you're here. If you happen to be new to the channel, welcome. This is an ongoing project. If you've missed anything and you want to catch up, we do have a playlist, and we'll link that at the end of the video and in the video description. For those of you that don't know, we're building this boat for my buddy, my business partner, who is going to use it in the MR340. The MR340 is a race down the Missouri River in late July from Caw Point, which is where the Kansas River comes into the Missouri in downtown Kansas City. Goes all the way to St. Charles, 340 miles. So we are trying to put this together so it'll be fast, but also very safe and very strong. And we're really pleased with the way it's coming out. And we're getting close to being done. So let's jump in. I'll show you the rest of the work that we're getting done on the hatches. I've been trying to cut out these hatch rings. And so here was the first one that I had. And I had clamped it in there, but the problem with it was that it had to bend like this. And so this part here was sticking up through the hatch hole. So like the hatch cover wouldn't lay back down on it. So I thought, well, I'll cut some relief points in it. And I took my Japanese saw and I only dragged the saw one pull. It wasn't like I sawed into it, but this stuff's only 4 millimeters thick. So first of all, I was surprised that it didn't bend easier. And then second of all, when I put it back in there with the relief cuts in it, you see what happened. It snapped in two, and in two places. So I was really discouraged last night, and I just walked away from it. I just thought, I got to step away from this because I'm getting nowhere fast. We did this last night, and I cut out 2 rings to fit inside our hatch hole, the after hatch hole. They're not perfect, but neither is the hole. We're gonna sand all this down and get a nice smooth fair curve running around this. This is 2 pieces of 4 millimeter Okumi plywood, marine plywood. And that gets us 5/16, something like that. So, but the idea is then we're gonna put this piece in here like this. Now, obviously we have to cut out part of this, but this is going to extend inboard all the way around. So this is our hatch sill. And so the hatch it's hard to kind of maybe visualize this because it's upside down, but the hatch lid's coming in like this, and it's going to rest on the edge of this. So once we cut this out, so I wanted this, and in there backwards, yeah, so that's gonna sit on there like that. So now the next thing I gotta do is cut this out to a nice decent size to where it'll stick out in here, maybe 3/4 of an inch all the way around, so that hatch cover can sit on top of this. It's going to make more sense as we do it. I'm actually really surprised at the lack of video there is out there on YouTube regarding building these hatches. We're having to freehand this completely, and we probably are going to have a completely separate video episode about the forward one because it has its own complications that I am just now finally coming to figure out what I think I'm going to do. So anyway, I need to measure in. Now I like the fact that my graph paper kind of stayed on here. Okay, so I did end up turning this over and having it sitting on here. I've marked forward and aft, so I know which way this goes, because this thing's, it's not a perfect oval. It's wider up here than it is back here by about an inch. You probably, I don't know if you can tell on the video, but if you get it goofed up on here, then you're messed up. So anyway, so I flipped this over on here just to get a good idea what this was, kind of matched this up to where these outside edges were pretty close to, you know, what we've already got glued in here. And I took my pencil and I went around the inside of it. So then that's when I got this line here. Okay. So this should be just pretty much the exact area here that this is. So, but we want this to extend out so that the hatch lid can rest on this part. So I've got this little marking gauge that I made. I just drilled a hole with my countersink bit, but I didn't go all the way through. My pencil will fit right in there. And then I marked off 1 inch from the center of this to here. And I just held it on here, and I took my pencil and I just went around and I drew this out, making sure that this line matched up with this line here. So we've got pretty much 1 inch all the way around from that line, but yeah, it's just almost right on it, dead on it, 1 inch. Yeah, that's great. And I want to make sure I don't drill through this without going into the piece that's the riser part there. Oh yeah, that would be terrible. Okay. Well, now see, my curiosity's killing me. Now that I've got that going to be secured in there, I can flip this over, pull the clamps out, go get the hatch cover and see how it sits in there. Okay, so you get the idea, right? It's really loosey-goosey in there. But by the time we put some weather seal and whatever in there, I put that in there upside down, I did, or backwards. So that's how that's going to go. You may have noticed this plywood's different than this. This is Okumi marine plywood, but it's 4 millimeters thick. This is birch, not necessarily marine. It's going to be all completely coated in epoxy, so I don't care. And birch plywood's very high quality anyway, but it's also 1/4 inch thick. So it gives me, you know, the extra thickness for strength. So that's why I'm using it. And I still have this marked aft and forward. I can't see my little hole anymore, but I did draw some lines that corresponds with that. And I got another one right here that corresponds with that. So if I line those up, I can kind of see that hole. It's right there. And I think right there. And those lines are lining up. And that line's lining up. Okay, we should be really close. Let's put the screws in. The screws should pull that together right where we wanted it, right? Okay, I'm not right on my hole, it's lifting it up. Okay, I think that's it. And I don't want to tighten that up too much because I want to make sure I get this one. I think that's it. I think I can see it. Oh yeah, I like it. Okay, now all we gotta do is just put the clamps on. All right, I think we're good. All right, let's flip it over and see if we're good. Okay. That's good. Great even. Okay, so this one has been a total quandary. I'm trying to figure out what to do. I felt like when I cut this out of here that I stayed pretty much on a fairly level surface, and it's got a little bit of arch to it, but not that much that I thought was going to cause me a problem. What's caused me a problem is that I cut it right here where it starts going hard down. I mean, that's a super hard bend right there. So it's all good. I'm good with it, and I cut it out nicely. So I'm fine with that. But when I've tried to put some hatch ring in here, they want to stick up to where there's no way this would sit down. So I thought about it and thought about it, and I finally come to the idea that I think I'm gonna make my lip in here out of cedar strip. I've got this would be this hatch lip, well, not lip, but riser thing to give me some depth in here, but it's just too, I can't bend it in there. Even this is too stiff. There's hardly anything here. I'm thinking about cutting it here and here, here and here, and seeing if that would work, and I could glue it in there, and I could fill in any little cracks with thickened epoxy. So I'm thinking that might probably work. I got a bunch of cedar strip cut, and that way I can just lay these in here and conform to this very convex curve. I'm trying to come up like to this line here, so we have at least about 1 inch extra. And again, same thing over here. I may need one more on the bottom down there like that. So those will conform to that shape. And I just gotta, I'm probably gonna bevel the edges just a little bit, these inside edges, so they fit together just a little bit better, and then glue them. I got a half thought about gluing them with super glue, but because otherwise I have to do them one at a time with wood glue. I don't know, it might take a while. I'm gonna put some wax paper in here so we don't goof up and glue anything in here. Hope that tape will stick to that. I kind of wonder how I ever did without this CA glue. Yeah, super glue. It's real super fast setting. So I've got these thicker pieces in the middle here where we don't have as much curvature, and then just spraying the accelerator on here. That. We're already getting a little bit of curvature to it, but then look at that. That's fantastic. Okay. I'm actually kind of glad it's sticking to the paper just a little bit because it's not sliding all over the place. Okay, we have 3 on this side, 2 on that side. Let's do Look at that. So we'll fill some of those cracks with epoxy when we do this, but yeah. Okay, now I need to make sure I know what I'm doing. This is forward, aft. Okay, so now I'm trying something else. So I had this ring all cut out, and it just wouldn't sit in here, and it wouldn't bend in here, and there just wasn't any way to get it in here. So I've cut it in pieces, and now I can force it down there to where it conforms with that. So, and I've numbered them so I don't get all lost. So there's 1, and there's 2. You can see I can bend that and glue that down in there. And then here's 3. 5, and that better be 6. It is. Okay, so I took this 80 grit and I sanded the inside of this and sanded on the edges of here. So I feel pretty good there, and then I wiped it down with some alcohol water. And so now we're going to try and glue these dudes in here. So yeah, let's do that. For the moment, I'm just putting it in here with wood glue. We are going to come back and seal all this with epoxy in a little while, but this will do it for right now and won't take quite so long, and I can get some other work done. This will set up to where we can work it within 3-4 hours. Because I put this in here in pieces, I wanted to make sure that we were going to be watertight. So I made some thickened epoxy. You may be able to see this white in here, and went around the edges and actually sealed up in little gaps like in between where I cut these. It didn't lay in here perfectly, even with as much as I clamped it. There's a place there where I could feel a little gap. We'll have to fill that. It's not terrible. And I had to sand off some corners that didn't lay completely square with each other or flat. So that's all good. Now I've got this piece that we glued up, and I had done it with the super glue and accelerant. And then last night I coated it with with epoxy on both sides. I didn't thicken the epoxy at all, but I let it get in these cracks and fill these cracks. So we've got a pretty sturdy piece here that basically fits pretty much to conform to this odd shape in here. And when I get down underneath there and look at it, I can still see a little gap here, but some of that may be where it's like hanging up on the edges up here. And obviously we're not going to have all this in here. So once we get it cut out, we'll probably have a better ability to get it to lay in. I busted it in two while I was cutting it out. Actually, it made it a little easier because I was able to take it over to the bandsaw and finish it up. Now, will it fit in here? Actually, yes, quite nicely so far. Yeah, that's gonna work. My golly, that's what epoxy's for. I'm gonna glue it in there. Probably could have saved myself some pain if I would have fiberglassed this. I was in a hurry. I wanted to figure out how to get this done and do it. So there's that. But fiberglassing it would have stiffened it up some too. And I'm going to have to actually bend this part here down in to mate up with this. So the fact that it's slightly flexible isn't a bad thing. And the more I look at this where I broke this, the less unhappy I am about it. Based on my reference marks there, I think we're good. We got this hatch lip in here pretty good, sealed in, a lot of thickened epoxy. That's set up pretty quick. We did that this morning, and it's about 8 o'clock at night. So that looks really good. There's a little bit of squeeze out right there, but we wiped out most of it before we got it completely clamped up. So it looks good. And now we're going to find out if it really looks good or not. Yes, it does. So we got room now to put some weather seal under here, and that's sitting down probably 1/8 of an inch. And I think our weather seal will compress down to that. It says 3/16. So by the time we push it down, it should really seal. So that's, which had been the more difficult situation, has come out, and I think we're in really good shape with it. So when we cut this out, we missed and didn't get the cut right here. We were off about 1/8 of an inch. I have since sanded that. I can still see the irregularity where there's more forward here and there's more aft there. Probably only I would notice it. So we sanded that all down, then we sanded the lid down. Same deal. Get some nice fair curves on there. Looks really good. And unfortunately, it is now way too small. There's probably a 1/4 inch there, 1/4 inch there, 1/4 inch there. It's just not going to work. So fortunately, this is really flat, and I have one piece of okumi already cut out from when we were making the hatch rings. So this is some marine plywood, and it almost fits in there, which means I can trim it just a little bit to where it will fit in there, and that's going to be good. Now, the only other thing about it is I need another one just like it, because I put double thickness in this hatch. I don't know what you call these things. I call them rings and then lip. So this lip is the 3rd piece down. So there's, from the deck down, it's, oh gosh, it's probably 7/16. And this stuff's only 4 millimeters. So I think we're going to double it up, because it sits way, I mean, it's thinner than this is. You can see how low that sits in there. I mean, we don't have weather stripping that's going to bring it up to that level. And I kind of already knew that and thought I was going to have to put a piece on the bottom of this. So it's all good and it's all fixable. It's just that it seems like it should have been so much more simple. And it just hasn't been. But that's part of the joy of doing this, is having little problems and then overcoming them. And certainly we're getting tested in that regard on this today. So I think what I'll do is just take a pencil and kind of mark some spots where I want to start trimming it down a little bit. I have two layers now, and they're pretty close to being the same size. This one underneath is just slightly smaller on an edge, and that's okay. We're just going to use it for doubling up. This is the best one to be the top. So I'm going to put those in there, kind of let them rattle around a little bit until they're both in there and feel like that's where they're supposed to be. And then I'm going to glue them together. If you like the video, remember to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.